She wasn't just my bully. She was the kind of girl who made other people's days worse just because she could. In junior high, her voice carried down the hallway like a warning. Rude, petty, cutting. She didn't just pick on me. She had a whole list of targets. Some girls cried in the bathroom because of her. Others pretended not to hear. I wasn't tortured, but I was made small. Deflated. Less than. And that's the thing about bullies. Sometimes it's not about bruises. It's about the way they convince you that you don't belong. I remember one day in 8th grade, I wore a dress my mom bought on clearance. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. She looked me up and down in front of everyone and said, "Did you steal that from a lost and found?" The group laughed. Not because it was funny, but because when a bully sets the tone, laughing feels safer than silence. I smiled like it didn't matter. But that night, I stuffed the dress in the back of my closet and never wore it again. That was her power. Not fists. Not detentions. Just words, sharp enough to make you hide yourself. When high school ended, I thought I was free of her. At a graduation party, someone introduced me to a guy. Tall, shy smile, easy conversation. We talked for 10 minutes before someone whispered, "That's her little brother." My stomach sank. I excused myself, because why on earth would I get tangled with anything connected to her? He was younger than me anyway. 2 years. A lifetime in high school years. I shook it off and went about my life. Years passed. College. First jobs. Relationships that didn't last. Life moved forward, messy and fast. And then, 8 years later, in 2020, a notification popped up on a dating app. His face. The same shy smile. I blinked at the screen, convinced I was imagining it. We matched. We messaged. I expected awkward small talk, but instead, I found myself laughing. We talked about everything. Books, work, family. He was kind in a way that felt rare. He asked questions because he wanted to know the answers, not because he was waiting for his turn to talk. He didn't mention his sister. I didn't either. At first, I wondered if this was dangerous, if I was setting myself up for drama. But the more we talked, the more I realized he wasn't her. Our first date was coffee on a freezing January day. He showed up early, holding 2 cups because he wasn't sure how I took mine. One's black. One's with cream and sugar. Choose. I laughed and chose the one with cream and sugar. It was small, but it was thoughtful. Thoughtfulness had been missing in my life for a long time. Months turned into a year. We didn't rush. We built something steady. I saw in him the opposite of everything his sister had ever made me feel. Where she tore people down, he built me up. Where she humiliated, he noticed. The first time I told him about a rough day at work, he didn't say just ignore it. He said, "That sounds exhausting. Do you want to vent or do you want advice?" No one had ever given me that choice before. It wasn't until year 2 that her name came up. We were at dinner, talking about old school stories, and I said it without thinking. Her name. His fork paused midair. "You knew my sister?" he asked. My chest went cold. "Knew her," I said. "She made middle school a nightmare." He put the fork down. "Yeah, she did that to me, too." I stared at him, shocked. I'd never considered that bullies had little brothers who had to live in the same house. He told me stories, different details, same pattern. The constant criticism. The way she made sure everyone in the room felt smaller than her. "I love her," he said, "but I don't excuse her. And I don't want to be anything like her." That moment sealed something. We weren't just 2 people who clicked. We were 2 survivors of the same storm, finding each other on dry land. By the end of 2024, he proposed. On New Year's Eve, fireworks painting the sky, he asked me to marry him. I said yes, not just because I loved him, but because with him, I'd found something I never thought I'd get from anyone tied to that family: safety. Now it's 2025, and our wedding is this October. The guest list is written. The venue is booked. My dress, the one I chose without hearing any cruel voices in my head, is hanging in the closet. And here's the twist, the part that makes every bruise from junior high worth surviving. She's not invited. And it's not petty. It's protective. She spent years tearing me down. She made me believe I was unworthy. She mocked me in hallways, in classrooms, in moments that stuck long after the bell rang. Why would I give her a seat on the happiest day of my life? Why would I let her poison linger in a space that's supposed to be sacred? People ask if it's awkward. Doesn't it feel strange, marrying your bully's brother? And the answer is yes. Strange, and also poetic. Because life has a way of folding back on itself. of handing you justice in unexpected packaging. I'm not marrying him to get back at her, but I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a small, satisfying fire in my chest when I picture her hearing the news. Imagine being the girl who mocked me for being unwanted, and then watching me become family anyway. Not through her approval, but in spite of it. Imagine realizing your brother looked at the same girl you ridiculed and saw as forever. That's the thing about revenge. Sometimes it's not loud. It's not a confrontation in the hallway or a speech at a reunion. Sometimes revenge is quiet. It's living well. It's finding love in a place no one expected. It's walking down the aisle in October, knowing the person waiting at the end of it is everything she could never take from me. Kindness, safety, love that builds instead of destroys. My bully spent years convincing me I wasn't enough. This October, her little brother will stand at the altar and prove, once and for all, that I always was.